Good morning, everybody. This is Bangkok. I'm about to get an Uber, waiting for Ava, and today we're gonna explore Bangkok, meet an old friend. These Thais have crazy motorbikes. It's insane. The things that you probably could never buy anywhere in Ho Chi Minh City, they drive them. Huge motorbikes, custom motorbikes, like race motorbikes, way too powerful. Meet an old friend, then do some work. See you on the way. I hope she's not mad at me that I called an Uber while she's still on the shower. Hi, waiting for a friend. 1 minute. My friend comes. Yeah. So Uber is collaborating with taxis here. This is a normal taxi, which is routed through Uber. Okay. I hope I pay the same price. I haven't seen that in Vietnam yet. It's weird, but maybe it's just me not using Uber enough. So fast. Hey, lady. Thanks for waiting. So today we meet Michael Waitze. He probably wants to be filmed because he became a media person like last year. Started a podcast, actually several podcasts. I gotta ask him about this. And on my old channel there's a pretty long video interview with him. So if you're interested in like Thai economics and where to start a business, you can watch that and we try to link it up. He's just like a mentor for me in a way. So I meet him every time here in Bangkok. Thank you, sir. Great service. Coffee is $4, but it's really good. Do you have coffee yet? 50 minutes? Okay. Yeah, we'll come back in 50 minutes, okay? There's nobody here yet. So this is like a food court in a district called Thong Lo. We are Germans, we're way too early. 17 minutes early.
You can have it if you want it.
What?
Or I can go get some if you want.
What?
I can go get some. Seriously, it's a 3-minute ride away and I have my motorcycle.
He's getting us a coffee, riding on this motorbike. Coffee delivery now because this is too expensive. In Saigon there's a place where you get a $5 latte, which is really good in a really nice cafe. It's the environment, you know. It's like you sit in a cafe where everything is marble and glass and huge and air conditioned and the Wi-Fi is fast. That's why you're paying $5. But here you're not paying $5 to sit in this thing here. Although I like this light, check this out. So let's see when he comes back. We have a small chat. We just had an interesting question coming up.
What's the difference between Thailand and Vietnam? Well, so GDP per capita, first of all, is very different. GDP per capita in Thailand is probably 4 times what it is in Vietnam.
Evenly distributed?
No, that's a very good. It's a really good question, actually. So if you look at GDP per capita in Bangkok, or in Chiang Mai, or in Khon Kaen, or in Nakhon Sawan, or in Phuket, it's going to be very different than it is actually in any other township, city, or place. But then again, most of your business is going to take place in Bangkok as well. So if you do a comparison, I think, between, in this context, Bangkok or Ho Chi Minh, or Bangkok and Hanoi, I think the difference would be the same, right, in percentage format, but obviously the numbers will be different than they are nationally. But that's why, actually, when I talk about startup ecosystems, I talk about cities, not countries.
Yeah.
Because Ho Chi Minh's a big deal, but what's going on in Da Nang or in Hue, like, I don't know. But I know what's going on in Ho Chi Minh. But I think the biggest difference is that the Thai market's very international and has been for a long time. And the market in Vietnam, from my perspective, is very domestic. Right? In other words, the openness to the ability for foreigners to build big businesses in Vietnam is different. But again, it's nascent there too.
Yeah.
It's late. It's earlier on in the process. So for me, Thailand, if you work with the the Ministry of the Digital Economy or the Digital Economy Planning Agencies here, they've made a massive commitment. Last year, they committed $500 million to developing the digital economy and digital transformation in Thailand. It's a government policy. So from that perspective, it's very different. But it also means that, on the flip side, there's potentially, wherever there's more risk, there's more opportunity. Not necessarily more reward for sure, right? Because there's no linear relationship between the risk you're taking and the reward you're getting, but the opportunity is much bigger. And Thailand as a nation has been open to foreigners being here for much longer than Vietnam has, right? And that's historic because there was a war in Vietnam that only ended in 1975 that destroyed the entire country.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in Thailand, the same thing in the Philippines, same thing in Indonesia, the same thing in Vietnam. It's like, there's never been a better time to be like 20 years old in Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you were, and I was talking to a woman today in Texas whose family is from, she said Cantonese, right? They're from Hong Kong. But her family left when she was either a little girl or before she was born to go to Dallas for a better life. Those are her words, not mine.
Yeah.
And if you think about during the Vietnam War and post-Vietnam War, all of the families that like got on a boat, like, just swam away somewhere or walked across the continent to get somewhere for a better life, that's what the parents had to do. Now the kids that are there that are the same age are going, I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing this here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fake it, but like I'm getting a chill just thinking about it.
Me too. Well, you can see it.
Because the opportunity is endless now for them, and there's never been a better time. You know, so when their grandparents are like, you don't know how hard it was. First there was, you know, the 40s and the 50s, and then the 60s came, and it was a mess. And those kids are like, yeah, thanks. And then they're just building, because, you know, in the old days the risk was, am I going to be able to live? Mm. And now the risk is, will I be able to succeed?
How do you see Vietnam in 10 years? Similar to Bangkok?
Yeah, again, I'm not really good at making predictions, but one thing I know for sure is that once people start to move into the middle class, I call it like getting richer, right? But once they start to move into the middle class, and every middle class develops differently, but once they do that, it's really hard to stop. You know, in the US, you always had to compete with Walmart, which had to compete with all these big companies. It was hard for Amazon at first. But now if you want to start something in America, you've got to compete with Amazon. But if you want to start the same thing in Vietnam, who are you competing with? I'm sure there are big companies doing it, right? And the Vin Group does some big stuff there, but they don't own everything. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing in Thailand. I think for the most part, kids are going to look and just see open market gaps, and they're going to try to fill them.
There was 6 hours of work in that cafe and in the other cafe. It's about 6 p.m. now, heading back to the hotel. Yeah, I mean, I know Bangkok already, so I didn't want to explore too much here, and also there's a lot of work right now with our app. And yeah, so this is the ending of the vlog. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Michael Waitze. And if you get any questions, if there's anything unclear, just write into the comments and we will respond. And hang up like in the next video. Subscribe please if you haven't done yet, subscribe in the button below, and yeah, see you in the next videos guys, bye bye.